Have you ever stopped to consider that your surname is not just a collection of letters on a passport, but the only tangible thread connecting you to an ancestor who may have ploughed the rain-soaked fields of Lincolnshire in the 12th century, or forged swords for knights during the 100 Years' War? A surname is a living fossil, a vocal artifact that carries within it the code of a profession, a specific landscape, or even the character of a person who lived hundreds of years ago. But today, in Great Britain, that thread is snapping in a frightening silence. Every year in the United Kingdom, the deaths of the last carriers of ancient, once resonant names are registered. When the final entry in the death registry is closed, an entire branch of national history dies along with that person, never to be reborn. Today we journey into the heart of British genealogy to find those 20 surnames that balance on the edge of eternal oblivion, and to understand why Old Blighty is losing its names. To truly grasp the scale of this process, one must understand how surnames first appeared on these islands. Before the Norman conquest of 1066, Anglo-Saxons got by with first names and nicknames, but William the Conqueror brought with him the necessity for strict land and tax records. By the 14th century, almost every inhabitant possessed a second name. The genetic lottery and social upheavals have filtered this list for centuries. The most terrible scythe for rare surnames was the First World War. In Britain, there was a tradition, pals battalions, where men from the same village or the same street went to the front together. If such a battalion fell under machine gun fire at the Somme, it could mean the instantaneous death of every carrier of a rare surname in one specific region. The war literally erased dozens of ancestral names from the map, leaving behind nothing but sorrowful inscriptions on war memorials. One of the saddest losses is the surname Fernsby. This name is a true monument to rural England, meaning a settlement among the ferns. It once flourished in small villages surrounded by dense forests, but today the number of Fernsbys has dwindled to near zero. A similar fate befell the surname Birdwhistle. This name sounds like music, the whistle of a bird, and likely indicated a locality where many songbirds nested. However, linguistic beauty does not save a name from genetic extinction. If a lineage produces only daughters who, by tradition, take their husband's surname, the paternal name falls asleep forever. Some surnames are disappearing because their meaning has, over time, come to sound ridiculous or even offensive. Take, for example, the surname Villain. In feudal England, this did not mean a bad guy as seen in modern Hollywood movies. It was a legal term denoting a villain, a free peasant who rented land from a lord. But as the English language evolved, the word acquired a negative connotation, and carriers of the name began to change it en masse to more neutral options. The same happened with the surname Spinster. Originally, this was a respected professional surname for a spinner, a symbol of hard work and honesty. But when the word turned into a synonym for an unmarried woman, the surname became a burden. Carriers either ended the line or chose other names, and today spinsters have practically vanished from the telephone directories of the United Kingdom. There are surnames that seem like accidental errors of history, such as Babcock or Ajax. The latter, despite associations with the Greek hero, was a strange transformation of Welsh nicknames in Britain. The surname Sumpter, once proudly worn by drivers of pack animals, became a victim of technical progress. The profession vanished, the prestige of the name faded, and the line gradually dissolved among millions of Smiths and Johnsons. No less mysterious is the fate of the surname Miracle. It is hard to imagine anyone wanting to part with the surname Miracle, but it was always extremely rare, likely arising from the ranks of actors in medieval religious mystery plays. Today, miracles are an endangered species living only in the archives. Our list also includes geographical mysteries, such as Bythesea. Literally meaning by the sea, this surname was often given to foundlings discovered on the coast or to those who lived at the very edge of the tide. Despite its poetic nature, the number of Bytheseas has decreased by 90% over the last 100 years. Another example is Berrycloth, a corrupted form of the more popular surname Barrowcloth. This branch turned out to be a dead end, and today linguists consider it critically endangered. The surname Relish, which is now associated with a culinary sauce, is actually an ancient English name whose carriers once owned lands, but over time dissolved in the shadow of larger clans. We cannot forget the surname Gastrell. This name entered history with a permanent shroud of infamy. It was the Reverend Francis Gastrell who, in 1759, in a fit of irritation, cut down the famous mulberry tree planted by William Shakespeare himself in Stratford-upon-Avon. Perhaps a certain poet's curse took hold, as today the Gastrells are one of the rarest surnames in England, on the verge of complete extinction. A similar fate haunts the surname Fablin, the origin of which still baffles Oxford linguists. This name is so unique that every carrier today is viewed by genealogists as the guardian of a living antique. In Scotland, there are losses of their own. The surname MacQuoid, which once thundered in the harsh clan wars of the Highlands, is rarely encountered today. Scottish names often suffered from mass emigration in the 19th century when carriers left for Canada or Australia, forever severing the link with their native land. Sometimes a surname dies out in Britain, but continues to live in Queensland or Ontario, becoming a ghost to its historical homeland. The surname Lochte, associated with lands in Perthshire, is also fading into nothingness. The lands remain, but the voices of those who bore the name are falling silent. Why is this important for us today? The disappearance of a surname is not just a linguistic curiosity. With each such name, a unique dialectal nuance vanishes, as does the memory of a specific craft that no longer exists, or the history of a tiny plot of land that was once the centre of the world for one family. Britain is becoming more homogeneous. Massive surname corporations like Smith, Jones and Taylor are swallowing up rare names, making the social landscape more predictable but less vibrant. When we pronounce these names today, Birdwhistle, Fernsby, Dankworth, we are summoning the shadows of Old England from the mists of oblivion. This is the essence of true nostalgia, to remember those who left behind no palaces or monuments, but left us their name as a final testament. If there is a rare name in your family tree, guard it like a treasure. Perhaps you are the final line of defense for a surname that has lived for 8 centuries. Share in the comments if you know anyone with an unusual surname, and let us create a registry of names that we have no right to forget together. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next plunges into the time capsule. Until the next episode, where the past always remains alive as long as we speak of it.